So this is Arturia's latest synthesizer plugin called Pigments, and it's pretty cool. You'll notice a lot of animations and colors going on, which is neat, and I'll explain that in a moment. I want to give everyone a quick introductory video on this plugin. This is the first time I'm doing something like this, so go easy on me. I'm going to make some mistakes and say some things incorrectly, but it's all in a good time because this is a really neat plugin and I'm so excited to share it with everyone. If you haven't already seen it, go to Arturia's website to get a free download and a demo that's available, I think, until January 10th. I'll put a link in the description. And then if you're an existing Arturia member or customer, you get a great introductory price if you decide to purchase it. And I think it's well worth the price. You have a lot of value packed in a pretty cool package here. So I'll go through and I'll highlight, some of the main components of the plugin as well as some features that I thought were pretty distinctive to it. We'll go through a few example presets and then we'll kind of build a sound from scratch. It won't be great, but it'll be fun, and I'll try to use that opportunity to kind of highlight different features of this particular synthesizer plugin. So with all that said, let's get into it. So Pigments has two engines. You can see here at the top left. You can select between wavetable or virtual analog. So as you can see here, engine 1 is set to wavetable. Engine 2 is currently on analog. While you're in wavetable mode, you can select between all these different wavetables that are already loaded for you. And then you can actually import your own custom wavetables as well. For more details on that, I'll put a link for Arturia's user guide for this particular plugin. It's about 170 or so pages, so it's not a light read, but it goes into very technical detail on a lot of these features as well. And so engine 2 is on analog, so this is analog. We have 3 oscillators here. You can select between a sine, a sawtooth, triangle, square wave, and adjust all those corresponding parameters. Over to the right, you have 2 filters, and you can select between filter types. You have all your parameters that go with filtering, things like cutoff, mode, reso, volume, pan. You have filter routing, amp modulation, voice pan, send level here at the right. And then in the middle is one of the distinctive features about Pigments and you'll see it's all in different colors, but essentially you have all these different modules that offer modulation for other parameters. So for example, you have velocity. So MIDI velocity you can use to modulate. You have aftertouch, you have mod wheel, keyboard, expression, envelope, VCA. You have 2 additional envelopes here. You have 3 LFOs. You have 3 custom functions you can use. Turing, sample and hold, binary. So Turing and binary are like some random generators, and then combination functions, which are pretty intense when you look at them for the first time. And then you have 4 macros that you can program to adjust, some things that are of key interest within the sound that you're designing. And then, of course, at the bottom, each of those are split out into groupings and sections. So here you have your keyboard, you have your envelopes, your LFOs, your functions, which you can custom make yourself, your random generators, sample and hold, and then your combination functions. So there's a lot to unpack here. And then up at the top right, you can switch between different sections. So that's our synthesizer section. And then there's an effects section with 2 buses and a send bus. Things like, equalization, overdrive, chorus, delay, reverb, bit crusher. And then finally, you have a 3rd panel here that's for sequencing. And so there's a lot of programmability here, which is pretty cool. And then there's a neat little feature here called sound design tips. So as you browse the stock plugins, you'll see a lot of the sound designers have put in these little yellow light bulb icons near parameters that they thought would be interesting to adjust. So we'll get into that when we design a sound. Master volume, and then of course, if you're familiar with Arturia, the main menu here for save as, import, export, resizing, and then here's something that's pretty cool, little tutorials. They have a first look and modulations, and so when you click on a tutorial, you can actually go through and it'll walk you through the plugin, which is pretty cool. So, it's triggered by different actions. So here it'll say, click on the synth button to explore the synth page. And then it'll kind of go, hey, it contains 2 engines. Each one can be a wavetable or an analog. So it walks you through everything that I'm kind of saying. So it's pretty cool. So it's very exploratory. You can learn on your own most of it. And the neat thing about this is that all the sound design that's going on internally, you can visualize pretty quickly with the envelopes and the little preview panes. I'm not sure what Arturia calls them, but you can see the LFO ones going crazy there with the yellow. And so that's just a general overview. And then, of course, you can browse your presets with this Arturia section. If it's like a little bookcase symbol, and you can go through, clear your filters. And it comes loaded with a lot of stock presets, so there's a lot of exploration to be done. Okay, we'll go through a few example presets that I plucked out. This one's pretty fun. It's called Dancing DNA. So what's neat is that as you play the sound, you can see all the envelopes working. You can see the functions going, combinate functions. And so like one of the things I discovered is that with some of these presets, they've actually designed beats. Like you could hold down a key and it plays a particular beat. And the beat's actually designed just using wavetables and oscillators, which is cool. But then they do these custom functions to kind of tell you when the snare and like a shaker sound goes. So for this function 3, it's probably connected to a noise parameter. So let's see. I could be wrong. If I go to engine 2, here you go. So it's pretty cool. So that's Dancing DNA. Here's a hybrid piano sound. Let's see here. But that one's pretty cool. This one's interesting, kicking risers. So I'm just holding down a note, and then it has this little function going. And look at all the things that function 1 is modulating right here. So it's modulating the position of the wavetable, some cutoff parameters, resonance, dry and wet effects. So this is a sound designer's dream kind of plugin. You can get as simple or complex as you want with all these different functions and using LFOs to modulate all different sorts of parameters. You can even modulate parameters within the LFOs themselves and the functions. So endless possibility. So it's kind of wild. Let's see what other ones I picked here. Salmon or brown. This is a pretty harsh preset. Very industrial. Thought it was pretty cool, so I put it in there. Hiratu's Woodwinds. So you can see this one's also using the Dusty Guitar wavetable. It's pretty cool. And it has a lo-fi sine triangle wavetable. So we'll stay on this one for a second. So one of the cool things about the wavetable is you can adjust these different positions, right? And let me actually go back to synthwave reverses. So you can see the positions modulated here. And then if you click into this little plus button that highlights every time you hover over a parameter, you can quickly modulate that particular parameter with your whole set of things to modulate with. So in this example, you can see LFO2 has some modulation going, and then function 1. So if you look at function 1, this preset has a curve. And as it goes through the curve, it'll modulate the wavetable position. So we can start experimenting here, and I could say, okay, let's say I want to change the rate in hertz. See, I'm increasing the rate, and now it's going much faster. Or I could slow it down entirely. Or I could get rid of the modulation by bringing this back to 0. And then I can manually switch between the wavetable position. Pretty cool. Let's see. So dancing DNA, we went through those. Okay, let's just generate a sound from scratch and go through some of the different things we can modulate. Just a very simplified approach, nothing too complicated. So I have a default sound here, and I have my 2 engines going. Well, engine 2 is disabled. We can enable if we want, but we'll keep it disabled for now. Engine 1, we're just on the basic building waves, the basic waveforms. And you can see I can change position on the wavetable and adjust between the different forms. If I enable this morph feature, I can actually smoothly morph between the waves. And then you'll see a visual of that. So that's pretty cool. I can adjust the volume, make it a little bit more quiet. So we'll leave it right there. Let's go ahead and let's activate engine 2. So let's see what we're getting here. We have an oscillator and a sawtooth wave. We can change what waveform we want. I'll leave a sawtooth. I'll put another one in there. And I can change the tuning. I can add noise. White, red, or blue noise. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and enable a filter. I can change the filter type, and there's all these different filter types I can use. We'll leave it on multi-mode for now. Here I can change the cutoff parameter. So there you go, we have a basic sound to work with. And then if we go down here to envelopes, we can look at our VCA envelope and adjust all the things we know and love about synthesis, right here with attack, decay, sustain, and release. So we'll play with that for a little bit. So there we go. An interesting sound there. It's not too exciting, but let's modulate something just to show you how Pigments really shines. And so we'll go in here, we'll go into our LFOs. Now you kind of see them going. We have 1, 2, and 3. 3's kind of spazzing out there. It's going really quick. We'll take LFO 1 and we'll just pick something like, we'll do the cutoff. We'll modulate the cutoff. So if I click here on LFO 1, I can go ahead and highlight up here. Click and drag my mouse up and down. And then you can see the filter is now modulating from LFO1. So that's pretty cool, huh? And it's going to modulate at whatever rate that we're currently at. Right now it's synced to my DAW, which is at 120 beats per minute. We can change it to hertz. So this is nothing new, right? Like modulating with LFOs. We can do this with a lot of different synthesizers out there. So you can already see we've kind of made that sound a little bit more interesting. I can even go in here and define my own functions. So let's make a function that kind of goes upward. There's a little up-down arrow in the middle here that I can click and drag and kind of change the curvature of that line. Now let's do something interesting. Let's modulate the position of the wavetable. Let's choose a different wavetable. Let's see here. Chunky tone. What does that sound like? Okay. So you can see here I'm adjusting the filter mix currently. So if I put on filter 2 is bypassed. So that way we can hear what this chunky tone wavetable sounds like. And I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back through filter 1. Maybe just get 10% of that bypassed. Okay, turn the volume up, and then we're gonna modulate the wavetable position using our custom function that we just made. So I'll go ahead and I'll hit function 1 right here, and then I'm gonna drag, see how it highlights right here, the green? I'll go ahead and click and drag upwards. Now I can change the rate. Put it to hertz. 1 second here. There we go. And I can change the starting position that the wavetable position is modulated from. That's something cool, right? It has a glide feature here on the keyboard. It's pretty cool. Cool. Okay, let's add a effect. Let me see here. Let's do a little bit of delay. Well, let's see what we got here. I'll pick reverb. Add a little bit of reverb to it. And then we'll go to our sequencer. So you can see the sequencer in action here. So there you go. So we just built up a sound from scratch. It's not that great, but so you can play with this all day. Now the one thing I wanted to show everyone here is how to kind of put together some of these sound design tips, because this is a new feature that I don't think I've seen this in any other plugin before. But I can go ahead, I'm gonna hit show tips, and then I'm gonna leave the advanced edit tips option on. And I'm gonna go ahead and say, okay, I think the wavetable position is interesting. And so if I hover over that parameter, I'll hit the little yellow light bulb. And then if I click at these little endpoints here that show up, I can adjust particular parts of the wavetable that I think are interesting. So let's say, okay, I think this part's interesting. So if I left click on the band, I can drag the endpoint. And if I right click, I can drag the start point. So similarly, I can go up here to the cutoff filter, which is being crazily modulated. Let's bring it down a little bit. I can hover and get that little light bulb. And again, this only shows up if I have the advanced edit tips enabled. And then again, similarly, I can adjust using the left click, the end point of the cutoff that I think is interesting, and perhaps maybe the start point that I think is interesting. And then there should be a section in here. Let's see if I go back. So if I hit that little bookshelf icon, I don't know what to call it really. I can go into the comments. I can add some comments. Hello, this is my new sound. Lots of typos there. I could say, oh, Dylan designed it. Okay, and then I'll just hit save. And now if I go back, this should show up. So there you go. In the middle, you can see name, default, type template, bank, demo, style, simple, comments. Hello, this is my new sound. And so you can put in some commentary. Pretty cool if you're someone who puts together a lot of custom presets and distributes those on the internet. So you can kind of help people and educate them on the places where, you know, interesting things can happen in the sound. So it's very neat functionality there. So yeah, so that is Arturia Pigments. There's so much to cover in this thing, and it's very in depth. So hopefully that's a cool introductory video for everyone to kind of digest some of what Pigments has to offer. I'll put some links in the description so you can go and explore on Arturia's website to learn more about it and to get a demo, a free demo until January 10th. And then after that, I'm not sure what happens after that, but you can at least try it out. It's pretty cool. I think this is great for sound designers to really go in depth. There's so much to cover. I'll keep exploring it myself. I'll be completely honest. I don't know everything that's going on in this. So I need to do some more exploration. And then I'll put some more videos up. And then I have a whole bunch of other plugins that I can talk about, some neat things from Rolling Cloud. There's actually a video I put up about the JX3P that Rolling Cloud put out. So that's on my channel as well. I'll think of the next interesting thing that I probably want to talk about, and just keep an eye out and subscribe, and hopefully you've enjoyed this, and let me know if you did. And again, this is my first time doing this, so there's going to be goofs, but all this stuff is so exciting, and it's a wonderful time to be a, as they call it, a bedroom producer, which is me. So get out there, explore some new sounds, have some fun, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, take care and Happy New Year.